very warm welcome, everyone. Honorable Minister Jean de Dieu Ururangirwa, visiting ministers, Ambassador Kim Un-jung, South Korean Ambassador to Rwanda, SA Special Advisor and Rwanda's former Minister of Youth and ICT, Jean-Philbert Nsengimana, Mr. Kyung-lim Yoon, KT President, and Mr. Han Sung-yoon, Ktrn CEO, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the media. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Now, if anyone needs translation, there is translation. You can just raise your hand if you need translation to French. Danny has it. So if you, at any point, feel that you need translation, just raise your hand, and Danny will come and give you a headset. Thank you for joining us this morning for a special breakfast session during Transform Africa. Today, we are all gathered here to celebrate an important event in the journey that started 5 years ago. In 2013, the government of Rwanda and Korea Telecom ventured into a public-private partnership to set up a company that would deliver on the government ICT goals. That company is KT Rwanda Networks. During this session, we shall hear a lot about this company and why today's event is so important. My name is Makeda Mahadio, and I will be your host for this breakfast session. We have some interesting topics and scheduled activities, including speeches, demos, and presentations around very intriguing topics. But before we begin, let's watch a short video that highlights the journey and the milestones of KTRN.
Transportation. Visitors in Rwanda can now stay connected through 4G LTE roaming services. The internet at the speed of light will always bring you a smile. With information security at the heart of its...
Rwanda, like many other African countries, has placed ICT at the center of its development vision, but it is the first country in Africa to cover 95% of its population with the latest broadband technology, such as 4G LTE. You don't have to be shy, you could even clap. Yeah, that's an achievement. With such level of access to broadband internet, there are unlimited opportunities and possibilities when it comes to improving socioeconomic development. Better access to information in various spheres of the economy, agriculture, governance, and others. Online trading becomes easier and more convenient. Education and health are improved through use of broadband. The possibilities are endless. Today, we are not going to have a press conference or panel discussion, but rather a few speeches from key personalities that were involved in one way or another in the achievement of KT Rwanda Network's 4G LTE rollout. Allow me to invite the first one. We will start off with Mr. Han Sung-yoon, KT Rwanda Network CEO. Mr. Yoon has been with KT Rwanda Network since 2015, taking charge of the wheel and getting it to the accomplishment that we are here to celebrate today. Now we can clap.
Good morning, Madam Chair. MT kindly introduced me, but I'd like to introduce myself once again. I'm Patrick Yoon. Work in KTRN and have been here almost 4.5 years now. And I'd like to thank all of you to join this historic event this morning to celebrate completion of 4G LTE network covering nationwide more than 95% of our population. Before my speech, I'd like to express my special appreciation to people who support our KTRN business. At first, Honorable Minister of ITC, Mr. Jang Ururangirwa, thank you for joining us today. He is supporting our 4G connectivity services based on implementation of a one government network. I'm sure it will accelerate digital economy of the Rwanda. And we also have a very special guest, His Excellency Ambassador of Korea, Mr. Un-jung Kim. I'd like to give the special thanks for your attendance this morning and keep support our KTRN business, even though you have a very lots of the diplomatic duties. And I think that today I must introduce the very one important. Of course, all of you are very important, but I'd like to describe this person as almost a founder of Ktrn, and he invited KT to this huge potential country. He was a former Minister of ICT and now Special Advisor of Smart Africa, Honorable Jang Philbert Sengimana. Guest from Korea Telecom, President of KT, Dr. Kyunglim Yoon. He is leading Future Convergence Division and Global Business Division as well. He is creating and developing new services beyond telecom industry, like smart medicine, smart security, and smart energy. Also, we have very interesting the participant, Executive Vice President of KT, Mr. Hyungjun Kim. He just finished his assignment to support Winter Olympic Games. During the last Winter Olympic Games, he introduced first 5G services. I have very high expectation. He is going to share his experience how to launch 5G services with Ktrn in Rwanda. But I hope it is not today, because we are now celebrating just completion of the 4G LTE network. And also, we have the CEO of the RISA, Mr. Innocent, and we have board members of Ktrn, and our chairperson just arrived, Mr. Legis, and Sandra came. Thank you very much for attendance. And also we have very key our partners like BSC and Tulu Connect and the BK Tech House and the CEO of the Bank of Kigali. Thank you very much for joining us today. And also, yes, we have equipment and service provider, our main partners, Nokia. Thank you for coming. Distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, now we are attending Transforming Africa 2018. And Ktrn has participated Transforming Africa from 2013. Let me just brief how Ktrn participate Transforming Africa, which is the biggest ICT event in Africa continent. 2013, government of Rwanda and KT signed to launch 4G wholesale business. This is a unique business model. In 2015, 4G coverage became 26%. We'll launch first 4G on mobile with Tigo. I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce my main business partner, Philip, the CEO of the Tigo and Airtel here. Thank you for coming, Philip. And 2016, 4G coverage became 62%. We launched some value-added services. But finally, we are in 2018, and we are attending TAS event. And now we are celebrating to complete construction of 4G LTE network covering more than 95% of population in nationwide. I believe this is the first time to have such a whole national 4G LTE coverage in Africa continent. Even there is a small number of countries who has this kind of the biggest LTE network. This achievement is not our effort only. This is coming from all your support. Thank you very much. During last 4 years, our operation, we have been faced many difficulties and challenges. I'm not talking about cultural differences and different business environment between Rwanda and Korea. Most of our challenges came from our business model itself, which is a 4G wholesale business. We cannot find any examples in the world. When we first signed wholesale agreement with our partners. We spent overnight. We signed 4 o'clock in the morning next day. Actually, it was a very biggest support from the former minister of the ICT. He was there together with almost 2 days. Even though we have agreed all the major conditions, but we understood our partner's position because they also confused how to deal with telecom business on the wholesale business environment. Ladies and gentlemen, Government of Rwanda and KT create new telecom business model which is suitable for African business environment. And we now complete national coverage of 4G LTE network. If we are following the other countries have been done, we cannot overtake. We cannot close a complete national coverage of 4G network. National coverage of 4G LTE network is not our business goal. That is our starting point, doing 4G data business. There are so many areas of development 4G business and huge potentials. For examples, national coverage of 4G LTE network can resolve inequality of education level and also minimize unfair medical services between rural and urban areas. 4G connectivity will find many ways to bring values to this society and accelerate to transform agricultural Rwandan economy into knowledge-based economy. I strongly believe we will find so many kind of the values to this country. Many people said Rwanda doesn't have natural resources, but now we can say Rwanda has a full coverage of 4G network now, which is creating much bigger value than natural resources. I hope now we physically finish construction of the 4G LTE network. Now we are more focusing on what kind of value we are going to use on top of 4G LTE network. And I hope we can find many business success story next year in TAS event. Before I close my speech, I'd like to deliver my special appreciation to all my Ktrn colleagues for their big contribution to complete national coverage of the 4G network. Thank you very much. Burakoze.
Thank you, Mr. Yoon. Thank you very much for getting Rwanda to where it is with the internet and the vast possibilities that come with it. Our next speech is the SAS Special Advisor and former Minister of ICT, Mr. Jean-Philbert Nsengimana.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are enjoying the coffee. Mine is not a speech, really. It's more of, as the CEO just said, I was there. Indeed, I was there when it all began. So, Honorable Minister, President of KT, Your Excellency the Ambassador, captains of industry here present, senior government leaders, ladies and gentlemen, some of you were here in 2013 at the first Transform Africa Summit. If you remember, there were two wow factors during that event. The first wow factor was when we demonstrated 4G. People thought we used the video. It was not a video. It was a live test because there were some 4G LTE antennas that were installed outside, and we got to compare the speed of 3G and 4G. And nothing else could come out of the mouth of everyone except wow. So I think today is another wow, because that was just the beginning of a process. It was not the beginning of the rollout. Once we saw what was coming, the next thing was to sit down with Katie and discuss how we can partner, agree where we can find money, agree on a number of things before we could start the business. We went through the process, and I think we came out with the most aggressive rollout of such a new technology in the world. I have never seen a country that has done a 4G rollout at national level in just 3 years. So I really want to commend the people that were involved in the process. The innovation that we came out to be able to do this was controversial at the time. Papers were written, conferences were set up to say how wrong we were. I can tell you that the idea of building a wholesale network that can be shared by all the players or competitors in a market, which is an idea that we got from His Excellency the President, was not intuitive at that time. But I was very happy to hear yesterday, Carlos Slim, one of the biggest mobile network owners in the world, saying that it is the only way to go to bridge the digital divide globally. That if you continue to overlay networks and put a lot of money into CapEx, and every investor wants to get back their investment, then at the end of the day, who pays for that? It is the end user. So the challenge that we had was to roll out 4G LTE in an affordable and very fast manner. And that is exactly what we did. And I'm so proud to be here this morning. The other wow factor in 2013, if you remember, if you visited the exhibition, there was letters written in light, and they were reading New Light Smart Africa. You can Google that image. It's still up there. New Light Smart Africa. It was the beginning. Remember, the decision to start Smart Africa Alliance was not yet made because it came out from meetings that happened after that time. So I would always remember this initiative as an initiative that was there at the birth of Smart Africa, and that picture, which is the new era in Africa, is very historic. And as the CEO said, this is just the first step. Our dream has always been that this partnership can be expanded to go beyond the borders of Rwanda, so that our other African brothers and sisters can also take advantage of this new broadband technology and this business partnership that the government of Rwanda built with Korea Telecom and the government of Korea. So, as you could follow yesterday and the day before yesterday, every conversation started with digital connectivity. There is no digital transformation without connectivity. So I'm so happy to see that this is mission accomplished, and it is truly accomplished. It hasn't become everyday reality in the lives of so many Rwandans today, but tomorrow it will become. Last month, when I visited my mom in the mountains of the Western Province, one of the most inaccessible places in this world, only one thing grows there, which is tea. But it's just the best tea in the world. Only one thing grows there. But when I visited and I sat in the living room and I connected, I was surprised to have the fastest 4G speed I have ever experienced. I think I was the only user in that whole district. But that's not good news, because when I went to my school, where I went for the primary school 30 years ago, it was not yet connected. But I understand through the One Government network, that is the next step. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we congratulate all the partners that have taken us from the very first day to this day, starting with His Excellency President Paul Kagame, to Ktrn, to KT leadership and Ktrn and the government of Rwanda, and all of you who are the users and customers, including the ISPs. We should be proud of what we have accomplished today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Jean-Philbert Nsengimana, for the role you played and continue to play in the development and growth of ICT on the continent, here in Rwanda and on the continent. Our next speaker is Mr. Kyun-Lim Yoon, Korea Telecom President.
Thank you. Maramutse. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Minister Rurangirwa, Honorable CEO of RDB Claire Akamanji, Honorable Executive Director of Smart Africa Dr. Hamadan Ture, and Honorable many ministers from various countries. All distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to see all of you here today, and it's my honor to get a chance to celebrate with you in this historic event today. We celebrate today an achievement goal, which was announced 5 years ago, right here in TAS 2013. In realize the goal of delivering universal broadband access for all Rwandan people, the government of Rwanda and KT had formed external partnership, and Ktrn began implementing LTE network in November 2014. And after 4 years effort, we are now here today with more than 95% coverage of 4G LTE in Rwanda. So it's a great honor and pleasure to announce the network rollout on schedule, and I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to everyone who made it possible. As all of you know, full 4G LTE coverage has a significant meaning. Finally, the whole Rwanda can use high-speed internet connection, and this will have a great impact on every industry than we expect. For example, mobile banking in finance and online digital healthcare service will spread with faster and more secure connections. And in education, it's going to be possible to get high-quality education content from abroad anytime, anywhere. Consumption patterns of media, music, and other entertainment content will rapidly change, free from time and space constraints. Many developed nations already proved these changes, and Rwanda would be no exception. Of course, one institution or one stakeholder alone couldn't have achieved this accomplishment. It was indeed the result of harmonious cooperation among Rwandan government, Ktrn, and many other related local partners. So once again, I'd like to thank you very much to everyone who has been involved in this momentous project. Well, as many of you realize, the whole world is now facing the wave of change named Fourth Industrial Revolution. Simply put, Fourth Industrial Revolution is converge diverse industries on the basis of broadband connectivity. In this regard, we've just begun and now ready to join this wave of change. Also, we are close to fulfill the objectives of ICT Vision Rwanda 2020. As you know, we need to create many convergent services and innovations on the top of newly constructed 4G LTE infrastructure. I do not doubt that under the leadership of President Kagame, Rwanda and KT shall face this change and produce many innovations in this fully connected digital environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to end with the quote from your wonderful leader, President Paul Kagame. He once said in an interview, "Whole idea of being innovative is not national, but it's global. It is not confined to Rwanda, but there will be Rwandan portion within that." That means certain problems require locally generated innovative solutions, but these are likely to be valuable globally also. And will give Rwanda an edge in this global innovation landscape. I can assure you, KT, as a global partner, along with Rwanda, to come up with local innovations on top of the 4G network and place Rwanda as a leading African nation. Once again, on behalf of KT, I'd like to congratulate Rwandan people and everyone who made today possible. Brakoje Chane. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yoon. Okay. Our next speaker is actually our guest of honor. It's Rwanda's Minister of ICT, Honorable Minister Jean de Dieu Rurangirwa. Please join me on the stage.
Good morning. KT President, Vice President, CEOs, distinguished guests. This is an honor to be here today celebrating the achievement by our son, KT Rwanda Network. Our partnership with Korea Telecom gave us a son and daughter, KT Rwanda Network and AOS. They are now 5 years old, but their maturity, we are here to celebrate. Complete nationwide coverage of LTE network is not our goal. Actually, the end of one journey is a starting or beginning of the next one. It's the case in achieving this coverage. Now we are embarking on an aggressive digitization program, actually to translate the figures we are celebrating today of 95% into lives being transformed. We are now looking for the value of our investment. We are looking for the value in terms of services. We are looking for the value in terms of transformation. As we could realize, discussions in Transform Africa 2018 are actually widening our market. Would like to see what we have achieved not only transform Rwanda, but also the whole Africa. I will not take time to go back into what was discussed. Transforming lives, translating figures into transformation is solving the concern raised by my predecessor, where now we want actually traffic in the rural area. And that's the continuation of our partnership. That's the commitment as government of Rwanda to strengthen such partnership. I would like to thank you all for the achievement, your contribution, your effort, but also reiterate our commitment as government for such transformative partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We appreciate and salute the government's contribution towards this success. Once again, thank you for attending our sessions, Minister. Before you move on, if you have to move on to any other sessions, could you please join the KT President and Ktrn CEO for a photo before going? I don't know if, yes, let's do it now. Thank you once again to our guest of honor for joining us for this session. And we have another speaker. So our next speech will be coming from His Excellency Kim Eun-jung, the Korea Ambassador to Rwanda.
Good morning. Honorable Minister of ICT, Jang De-dieu, Rang Jil-gwa, Chief Executive Officers, government officials from Rwandan government, executives of Ktrn and Korea Telecom, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would first of all like to thank Ktrn for organizing this ceremony. It is my great pleasure to join you in celebrating the completion of the nationwide 4G LTE network in Rwanda on the special occasion of the Transform Africa Summit 2018. Ktrn's establishment of 4G LTE network across Rwanda is indeed a shining example of a public and private partnership between Korea and Rwanda. As a result of this successful partnership, 95% of the Rwandan population now has access to high-speed network. Its 1,000 hills are now more connected than ever. I'm happy that Korean enterprise, Korea Telecom, has taken an essential part in this project of great significance and impact. Alongside the Korea Telecom, the Korean government has also been a strong advocate of ICT development in Rwanda. The Korean government has supported Rwanda's effort to enhance ICT capacity through a range of projects, including the ICT Innovation Center at the IPICK to be inaugurated in the months ahead. As we cannot highlight enough the transformative power of ICTs, Korea-Rwanda collaboration in this area will continue. As President Paul Kagame of Rwanda has noted, as chairman of the Smart Africa Board, ICTs can level the global playing field, unlock human capital, and harness its full potential. I believe that the completion of the nationwide 4G LTE network will catalyze cross-cutting innovation, paving the way for the realization of knowledge-based economy Rwanda has been pursuing. Before closing, I would like to applaud the staff members of Ktrn for their hard work to make this happen. Thanks to their effort, all of us here will be able to enjoy faster and wider communication in Rwanda. I hope, in light of the theme of accelerating Africa's single digital market for TAS 2018, more success stories like this will follow suit across the continent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And in the interest of time, we have our next and final speaker, the CEO of Nokia Africa, Daniel Jager.
Good morning. It's always nice to be the last one because basically I could leave my paper at home because all the smart things have been already said by the speakers in front of me. Nevertheless, good morning everybody. It's my pleasure to be here. Honorable Minister, honorable ministers and representatives of the government of Rwanda and of all other African countries in the room. Mr. President of KT and the representatives of Korea Telecom, Excellency the Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, guests and friends, it's really a pleasure for me to be here today. So first of all, I want to thank Patrick and the team of KT Rwanda, of course, for organizing this celebration today. It's always nice to meet you, and I've been coming here a lot over the last few years, but of course it's best when we celebrate together. I want to congratulate you. Congratulations have been said a lot in the last half hour, but I will repeat that, and I do it on purpose. I want to congratulate you for what you have achieved over the last 4 or 5 years. Say 5 years since the PPP was set up, and 4 years since the network was initially launched. As Nokia, we are happy and proud to be your partner in that, for building this network together, your partner from a technology point of view, but of course also with a strong operational way of working together, and as such, contributing to the success of KT Rwanda. I want to thank you, Patrick, for your leadership of KT Rwanda, but basically express this thanks to the whole team that you have here on the ground. And when I say partnership, I really mean partnership, because it's a word that probably is a bit overused in these days, and some people talking to each other immediately refer to partners and friends. I think what we have seen here, and most likely is not just between your team and ourselves, but to the whole partner ecosystem, was really a partnership. For me, the partnership proof is always in the way that you see people working together, and from the outside you would not be able to judge if this person has a contract with Nokia or the other person has a contract with KT Rwanda. You see people at work that are driven by one vision or mission or goal, and they want to achieve something, and they work together because it is unified and joint goal. And I think that makes a difference, and this where you see a difference really happening in projects like this one. I also want to look back and congratulate the founding fathers or the founding parents of this entity for the decisions that have been made in the past. As said before, 5 years ago, this was not the standard model to put into place. 5 years ago, it could have been easy for the government of Rwanda to say, fine, we take the spectrum and we slice the spectrum up and give every operator, old or new, a part of it, and then we hope that 4G will be rolled out in a fast and efficient way. What we know meanwhile, and what some smart visionary people knew a few years ago, is that this is not always the most efficient use of money. The example of Mexico was brought up before, and you might have seen that. It was announced, I think, earlier this year, and the rollout has started. A very similar model is being implemented now in Mexico. Now, given the fact that Mexico is a country with 130 million, a slight bit bigger than Rwanda, yes, this network will be bigger as a wholesale network, but in terms of history, in terms of the innovation, the foundation has been laid here. And again, from an economic, somebody has mentioned it before, it is clear that this is a very efficient way of putting 4G into a country by building up one network and then sharing it among the operators instead of building one mast next to the other on almost every location in the country. So I think both parties deserve a lot of credit for that decision that was taken a few years ago in terms of the vision and the leadership and following through, even if there was a lot of people who were questioning that approach. I also think it was a We're always smart when we're looking back now, of course, but I think it was also the combination of bringing two partners together. The government that was visionary on how to use the spectrum, and then bringing in a partner with KT, who has, of course today, but also 5 years ago, had the strong experience in how to do broadband. And this, I think, this combination has contributed strongly to what we see here today and what we're happy to celebrate as a success. One last point, I want to focus quickly on the 95%. Now, 95% is a great number because we all know it's close to 100, and to achieve 100 is always a bit more difficult, but 95 means we're almost there. I was yesterday after lunch, and probably some of you were there as well, just a few meters down the hallway. There was in a room like this a session on digital health. It was a nice panel, 5 very smart people were talking about digital health, and then the floor was opened for discussion. And the gentleman who was sitting behind me was grabbing the microphone. He was not from here, he was from another African country. He made a long speech, but if I summarize it, he was saying, whatever we are talking here on digital health is all very nice. But what do we do if the infrastructure is not there? And I think he was hitting the point very, very much, which is also the point here today. It's very nice to have all the smart applications, no matter if it's digital health or e-education or if it's e-commerce, whatever it is. But there's one foundation that is necessary, which is the network. We had a few years in our company, a few years ago, a marketing slogan that was, every success has its network, which means that the network alone might not be enough, but you need to have the network in order to build on that. And I think that's the most important, for me personally, when looking at these 95% today, that you are covering the country with a network, which at the end of the day means empowerment and enablement for the people. There will always be questions on the affordability of the network access. There will always be a almost never finished work on which application, which services can we put on that network. And it doesn't matter if it's KT Rwanda putting that on, if it's other network operators that use that network, if it's the government, if it's private, whoever it is, but the network is there, and that is the basis for achieving anything. And again, for me, it's about empowerment, about enablement. So with this sense, again, congratulations to everybody. We have prepared a small token. It will be a smaller picture than the beautiful one before, but just a very small token of appreciation, the congratulations from Nokia as your partner to these 95%. I hope you have a strong shelf in your office because it's a very heavy thing, but I know you're a strong man and will take it home. So congratulations again from us, using also one of the Nokia slogans that you have heard many times. It's about connecting people. It's about connecting people with each other, but it's also connecting people with services, and this network is making a huge contribution for that. So congratulations, and thank you very much.
The company has evolved and has become an integral pillar of Rwanda's ICT progress. Achievements and standards never go by unnoticed, and it is KT Rwanda's network's premier standards that bring us to this section of the event. KT Rwanda has been awarded with the ISO 27001-2013. I would like to request Mr. Hong, an ISO representative, to present the certificate to Mr. Charles Gahungu, KT Rwanda Network CTIO.
While constructing this 4G network. Before I go to the presentation, I really want to congratulate everyone and appreciate the government of Rwanda as well as KT for the partnership to build this nation and develop the network infrastructure. I just want to take you in brief the journey we went through starting the 4 years back, constructing this 4G network. I'm not going to spend much time on the vision as well as the mission of the company. It is basically we are visioning to accelerate the data market, growing by deploying world-class last-mile technology, FOC, LTE, and to expand business to neighboring countries. So one of our target was by end of 2017, we're targeting to achieve 95% population coverage and 88% geographic coverage. Most of the speakers, they talked about the history and the background of this company, how the government and KT signed the partnership in 2013. In April 2014, after a few months, we launched the 4G LTE in Kigali. And one of our targets was first start covering Kigali, and then move to the other major cities. So, as you can see, before the end of 2014, we were able to launch 4G LTE within Kigali. That means the 3 districts, Gasabo, Kichukiro, and Nyarugenge. In 2015, our major target was the major cities across the country, and we achieved. So as of 1st May, we're really happy to see that we have achieved 95% population coverage. Through this slide, you can see that this is the national fiber backbone. Now we are talking about 4G, but 4G is built on top of fiber backbone. Since the fiber backbone has rings, it helps to have the 4G network, which is more stable as well as reliable. So that's why the 4G network is built on these 4 rings, which helps us to maintain the reliability and the availability of 4G, which means we focus on the quality of 4G. So apart some of few areas, specifically in a very remote area, we are using microwave as the backhaul. So this is the journey we went through, starting specifically 2014. You can see the percentage of coverage, the rollout. That was within Kigali. And 2015, we managed to have 144 sites, which was giving 17 population coverage. 2016, we're working hard. We're having 280 sites. 2017, 89% population coverage we achieved. And then by now, April, we're able to achieve 95% population coverage. This is the summary and the map representing the 4G coverage countrywide. As you can see, we have 465 sites, but as of today, because every day we are improving and increasing the quality, as of today, we have added even some more sites. So, which means we are still growing up, we are continuing, as well as focusing on optimization. So now, the highway is ready. As you can see, this is the highway. We need to drive fast. We don't have obstacles because we have the broadband. So what is the next then? If the 4G is there, network is there, the fiber backbone is there, then it's like when the meal is ready, so we have to eat. So then how are we going to do? We have to do the service. This is the most important. Yes, we are celebrating today that we achieved 95%. Having coverage without service, it will be like having the highway without vehicles. So basically, we have enabled the country to be able to serve the population to serve, to deliver different types of service. As you can see, there is entertainment, there is restaurant, there is health sector. So which means we are ready and we need our partners, retailers, government to really focus now on this. Otherwise, we will be having a huge infrastructure which is not used. My presentation is not long. I just want to emphasize again on what we are focusing on. As we just see, we have been awarded the ISO certification. Basically, we are focusing on service, quality, as well as the security of the network. I can't say that since we achieved 95, even though we achieved 100%, we still have to focus on the quality. We will be continuing doing the optimization, as well as securing our network to assure that our retailers, population, everyone, end users, they are satisfied. Once again, thank you so much. I would like once again to appreciate everyone who participated, not only Ktrn staff. We have received a lot of support from the government through different institutions, including ministry, as well as RURA and RDB. Within even the district, local authorities who have been helping us to give us the permissions to install as well as roll out. So I really thank also our partners, Nokia. We have been collaborating very close, working. Of course, there are so many challenges we went through, but today we are happy to celebrate that we are at 95%, and we are going to continue to make sure that end users are satisfied. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gahungu. It is fabulous how someone in the furthest part of the country can experience the same internet speed as we do here in Kigali. So, our next presentation is from Mr. Desire Gabonziza, Ktrn CSO, who will be giving us a brief presentation on 4G services and solutions offered.
Good morning, all. Distinguished guests, colleagues, the press. I just wanted to sort of break down what was discussed as a PPP model for people to understand how it started and where we are and where we're heading. So we'll be talking about the three parts. Next slide, please. So we talk about the PPP, and people maybe highlighted some of them in terms of efficiency and faster and economical deployment of the broadband access. So what happened is in this picture. We've got two partners. One bringing infrastructure. This could be probably the same in the other African countries. You have some countries have invested in backbone, in fiber, and other networks. Then you have this backbone, but it's just the backbone as it's called. But how does it get to people? You either need to extend the backbone into access, and you have different ways of doing that. You could do it using fiber, but you can do it using other technologies. So we choose 4G. So government brings infrastructure, allocate the spectrum, KT build an extension to the backbone, which was already there. And that's how we managed to cover the country in just 4 years. Some countries who started building 3G have not already covered because it's capital intensive. And the uniqueness of this model, it's a combination of both economic returns and business returns. When we had yesterday sustainable PPPs, I think this is true example. You have 4G coverage, a citizen who has no access to the device but has a broadband, same as a corporate person in Kigali. What it means, it's a potential market. So based on this, we created a company called Ktrn, which we're celebrating today, the achievement. And how do we get the services offered by our partners who are here to the end user? So we wholesaler, we provide the network, the technology, but the service to end user is done by operators. Operators mainly on smartphone, and we have internet providers who are doing mainly B2B. So they're just selling to corporate, including mobile routers, CPEs, and other terminals. But the main person, because today's world is on mobility, the main person, I think that's why CEO recognized Mr. Philip from Airtel, Tigo. We need mobility. We need smartphone. Everything is happening on smartphone. Smartphone is beyond just a device for picking calls, doing WhatsApp. It's a bank. And we appreciate to have the CEO of BK Group in the room and some bankers. This is an opportunity for extension to other people. So yes, people talk about 4G, but we don't do 4G only. Any ISP, we call them ISP, internet providers or service providers or operators, can either rely on our fiber or 4G. So we combine and provide a converged network, mobile and fixed. Still, our job is to enable this person to reach to the end user. So this is an opportunity for the existing ones and the joining ones to exploit and do the most important part, which is the last column, the services. What do we do within this network? Next slide. I think I will not go back to these major clusters. It has overemphasized, and everybody knows this is our next big thing to happen. We have a network, then we need to provide services. My main focus will be the last, expansion. Yes, we tried something new. It has worked, and it's yielding results. So we have a business model which is allowing faster and economical deployment, scarce resources like spectrum, consolidated. And then on another side, we have a 4G network that is deployed within 4 years because of joint effort. These experience, we accumulated them. We built this network. The team you saw here from the CEO, the CTIO, and other partners. We know the pros and cons. So as within the recently signed African trade exchange need to happen between countries, we're here. We've done it. So if you're willing, our friends from other African countries who are here, we did it. We could share this experience. We could learn from you, but at least we know what it takes, and we believe it's going to be a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Desiree. And thank you, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the press. We have reached the end of our session today. It was an honor to hear the messages from our speakers. Although they had to be short due to our time constraints this session, the messages conveyed and demonstrated, it just told us the magnitude of the task at hand, which is making internet a public utility. So thank you all once again. We are left with time for interactions between guests and hosts, as well as press and media interviews. Protocol will guide you throughout. Thank you all for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
We completed our first duty of constructing network LTE infrastructure. And we need to create new convergence services, innovative products on the top of the newly constructed network infrastructure. That is our job, and we will do our best for the next journey. Thank you.